Hello there, it's midnight and you're tuning in to Nightline with me, Nadia Azmi. Here are the top stories. Subsidies for Raw 95 petrol, a government reviewing income threshold for T15 group. And MACC probes alleged cartel in 1.8 billion ringgit Padi fertilizer contract. Good morning. The government is currently reviewing the income threshold for the T15 group, which will be excluded from receiving subsidies for Raw 95 petrol next year. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stated that this is because the minimum income of 13,000 ringgit set for the group by the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSIM, is considered too low. Anwar told the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that the matter is being discussed by the relevant ministries, with the government planning to increase the income threshold for the T15 group to 15,000 ringgit or 20,000 ringgit in order to avoid burdening those earning less.
Ada rangkaian daripada T20 ini peringkat bawah, itu mungkin pendapatannya agak sedikit rendah, maka dinaikkan. Dan ini bukan perkara baru sebab dalam penyasaran subsidi diesel digunakan prinsip yang sama T15. Apa kuantumnya itu sedang dikaji kerana kita rasa yang ditekankan oleh DOSIM sekitar RM13,000 mungkin terlalu rendah.
Anwar, who is also the finance minister, said in addition to Raw 95 petrol, several other subsidies will be withdrawn for the T15 group. He also questioned the opposition for criticizing the subsidy targeting measures, pointing out that they appear to be championing the T15 group rather than prioritizing the well-being of the rest of the population. He assured that the government will continue to protect the interests of 85% of Malaysians amid the implementation of targeted subsidies for Raw 95 petrol, which is slated to take effect in mid-next year. The Prime Minister added that only the T15 group and foreign nationals will have to pay the non-subsidized market price for the fuel, a measure he considers reasonable. Meanwhile, Anwar said that the government plans to amend the Land Acquisition Act or Act 486 to ensure that national assets and public interests are protected. The Prime Minister told this to the Dewan Rakyat following the land acquisition issues concerning the Duta Enclave.
Dan dia melibatkan tanah Masjid Wilayah Persekutuan, IKIM, Stadium Tun Razak, Hoki Tun Razak, Pusat Tenis Nasional Tun Razak, Kompleks Kerajaan Jalan Duta. Sebab itulah kerajaan terus menggunakan jalur undang-undang merayu terhadap keputusan yang telah diputuskan oleh mahkamah.
Anwar added that the bill to amend the Act is being prepared by the Attorney General's chambers before being finalised by the Cabinet and tabled in Parliament. He said this was in response to the Kuala Lumpur High Court's decision last month for the government to return 106.54 hectares of land in Mukim Batu near Jalan Duta, which houses several government complexes and facilities, to Semantan Estate, Sendirian Berhad. In a Facebook post on Tuesday night, Anwar said he has instructed the Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Ministry to coordinate and increase programs related to the Indian community. For this purpose, Deputy Entrepreneur Development and Cooperatives Minister Datuk Seri R. Ramanan has been tasked with overseeing the efforts to ensure that the 130 million ringgit allocation under the 2025 budget for the community meets its objectives, among other things. Anwar reiterated the government's stance to intensify initiatives aimed at empowering the Indian community in the country, particularly through Mitra, including the allocations that he announced in the 2025 budget to implement various programs, which also involves financing for Indian community businesses. Anwar added that this was decided during his meeting with the Malaysian Indian Transformation Unit Mitra and several members of parliament representing Indians in the country to discuss ideas to empower the community further. He also expressed hope that with the government's commitment and the support of all parties, particularly from community leaders, this effort will further strengthen Mitra and achieve its objective of elevating the Indian community. The government is actively implementing efforts to enhance operational efficiency and yields to empower palm oil smallholders across the country. Among the government's efforts to empower smallholders in the country is to assist them in improving the efficiency of their operations and crop yields. In a parliamentary written reply on Tuesday, Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said the increase in crop yields and operations efficiency could be achieved through scheduled replanting. Other efforts include ensuring that the smallholders have a supply of quality seeds and fertilizers, enough labor, and a mechanization of farm operations. Johari added that the government fully covered the cost of Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil MSPO certification for independent smallholders and also provided subsidies. He explained that the MSPO certification scheme was important to ensure that crude palm oil produced by smallholders can continue to be exported. Throughout January to September, the replanting rate in Sabah was 1.7% higher than in Peninsular Malaysia at 1.6%, while Sarawak's rate stands at 1.4%. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has launched an investigation into an alleged cartel involving a 1.8 billion ringgit contract for the distribution and supply of padi fertilizer awarded to an organization under a ministry. The anti-graft agency had conducted a series of raids in and around Kuala Lumpur, including at the headquarters of the organization, the ministry, and 9 firms allegedly involved in the cartel. Investigations revealed that the organization used 2 methods to fulfill the government contract, purchasing fertilizers directly from 5 manufacturing companies and acquiring raw materials from 4 other companies for the processing of fertilizer. According to a source from MACC, the anti-graft bodies probe would focus on potential corruption related to the procurement of fertilizers or raw materials from the companies. The probe will also examine possible abuse of power by board members of the organization involved in the decision-making process for selecting the companies. The MACC has seized relevant documents pertaining to this project from the ministry, the organization, and the related companies and is currently conducting a detailed review. 6 officials from the ministry and the organization had also been summoned for questioning. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki confirmed the probe and did not rule out the possibility of detaining several suspects to assist in investigations. The case is being investigated under the MACC Act 2009. 9 hours from now, Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak will know whether he will be let off or scot-free or required to answer all criminal charges related to the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB financial debacle involving funds amounting to 2.28 billion ringgit. The verdict comes after 6 long years of legal battles and intense public scrutiny over the case. At 9 a.m., presiding judge Datuk Colin Lawrence Sequeira is expected to give his verdict at the end of the prosecution's case. If the court determines that there is sufficient evidence, Najib will be required to enter his defence and present his case, which involves 3 options: provide sworn evidence in the witness box and undergo cross-examination, make an unsworn statement from the dock without facing cross-examination, or remain silent, in which case the court will be compelled to convict the accused. However, if the evidence is deemed insufficient, the court may acquit the accused without calling for a defence. Sequeira, a Court of Appeal judge presiding as a High Court judge, set the date after both the prosecution and defence teams completed their submissions at the close of the prosecution's case on October 3rd. Najib was charged in the Sessions Court on September 20, 2018, and the case was allowed to be transferred to the High Court on October 31, 2018. The trial began on August 28, 2019. Among the key witnesses called to testify were former 1MDB chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Baki Saleh, former Chief Executive Officer Datuk Syarul Azral Ibrahim Halmi, former Bank Negara Malaysia Governor Tan Sri Zeti Akhtar Aziz, and former 1MDB General Counsel Jasmine Lu Aiswan. Najib was charged under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act, which provides for imprisonment of up to 20 years and a fine of up to 5 times the amount or value of the bribe or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher, if found guilty. For the 21 charges of money laundering, Najib is accused of committing the offences between March 22, 2013 and August 30, 2013. All these charges are under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act, which carries a maximum fine of 5 million ringgit and imprisonment of up to 5 years or both upon conviction. Police seized Shabu with nearly 11 million ringgit in a raid on a house in the Klang Valley last Friday. 2 local men believed to be drug runners were also arrested in connection with the seizure on the same day. Bukit Aman Narcotic Crime Investigation Department NCID Director Datuk Seri Kor Kok Chin said that the first suspect, a 34-year-old man, was nabbed after police stopped his car at Bandar Baru Sri Petaling, Kuala Lumpur around 10:50 p.m. He then led authorities to a double-storey terrace house in Bandar Bukit Puchong in Puchong, Selangor, where 319 packets of herbal tea, which actually contained shabu, were discovered in one of the rooms. Police later arrested another runner, a 30-year-old man who was driving along Jalan Puchong Jaya. It is believed that both men were hired by a syndicate and paid between 5,000 and 8,000 ringgit a month to distribute drugs in the city centre and surrounding areas.
Dia sewa rumah awal September. Dia aktif awal 2024. Okey? Dia punya beza di sini. Dan kes ini seperti mana tuan-tuan sedia maklum, kita siasat di bawah 39B, di bawah Akta Dadah Berbahaya 1952.
Police also seized 10,270 ringgit worth of jewellery and 2 vehicles with 60,000 ringgit during the operation. The seized shabu, weighing approximately 329.6 kilograms, could cater to 1.65 million drug users. Police were tracking other members of the syndicate. Both suspects have been remanded for 7 days until this Friday to facilitate investigations into the case. A former deputy youth chief of a political party in Johor was charged with 9 counts of physical sexual assault and sodomy involving 6 teenage boys between 2017 and March last year. The accused 37-year-old Zuraidi Mazlan claimed trial after the charges were read before Judge Haidar Farizal Abu Hassan at the Kota Tinggi Sessions Court on Tuesday. Zuraidi was charged with 7 counts of physical sexual assault on 4 boys aged 14 to 16 by touching their bodies and instructing one of them to perform oral sex on him, among others. The offences were allegedly committed at the fishermen's housing in Kampung Penyambung, Bersing. The charges framed under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act carry a maximum penalty of 20 years jail and whipping upon conviction. The accused was also charged with committing unnatural sex by sodomizing 2 14-year-old twins without their consent. The court then set bail at 5,000 ringgit for each charge, totaling 45,000 ringgit with additional conditions. Judge Haidar Farizal fixed December 11th for case mention and document submission. With Deepavali just around the corner, those celebrating are flocking to markets and bazaars to shop for essentials and needs. One of the places that is a location for buying festival needs is Brickfields in Kuala Lumpur, or also known as Little India. Nightline's Muhammad Nadir Asfar has the report.
The business tents and hawk stalls set up along the streets of Little India were found to be selling a variety of festival items, namely traditional cakes and biscuits, clothing, accessories, and even henna drawing services. The bustling street is still the #1 choice for some shoppers due to its low prices and offering a wide selection of items.
We are always like to buy at Little India and Masjid India because traditional dress, traditional things all can get here easy and cheaper price. Yes. So mostly Indian people looking for Little India and Masjid India. That's it. That's better for the Indian, for the whatever they look for, that the dressing and the cultural things and the prayer, whatever they want lah.
Baju, lepas tu makanan, lepas nak buat inai. So it's like, you know, ada barang nak belilah jewelry, semua benda lah. Okay, depends on budget lah.
Business owners are also feeling the spirit of festivity, with some even setting up shop weeks before Deepavali.
Misal first time kita harga tak turun lah. Kalau dah bawa kita turun harga lah. Macam bagi satu botol sekarang 28. So sekarang kita lama-lama kita kasih turun lah 25 ke. Tengoklah orang ada wang tak ada wang kan macam tu.
turun dari 28 ni turun berapa banyak?
Turunlah. Banyaklah. 20 ke adalah. Tengok dia orang bajet macam mana kan.
Okey, so far okey lah, busy. Minggu ni last kan, besok dah last, so busy sikit. Okey lah. Boleh tahan lah. Tahun lepas kita dapat tempat ke sana. Same area lah, Little India lah.
Compared to last year dengan tahun ni okey lah.
So far tak adalah okey lah, tak ada okey sangat lah. Boleh
lagi ramai
tahun ni boleh tahan.
Last-minute shoppers are enjoying massive discounts as traders enter into a price war in an attempt to attract customers. Traders are also extending their business hours for the leisure of their customers. I'm Muhammad Nadia Asfar for Nightline TV3
and wishing those celebrating a happy Deepavali.
Rhetoric crowned as Ballon d'Or winner. The details when we return.
Banyak aktiviti dan tarikan boleh anda sertai di Karnival Jom Heboh Babas Johor Bahru 1 hingga 3 November ini. Temui selebriti studio tonton drama sangat seperti Nabila Razali, Nafis Muaz, Kodi Rashid, Ashraf Muslim dan Anik Dura, personaliti media prima dan maskot Ejen Ali, Ejen Alicia dan Gogo Dino. Anda juga boleh sertai pertandingan, aktiviti menarik, pesta makanan, hiburan dan hadiah percuma untuk semua sepanjang hari. Jumpa anda di Padang B Angsana Johor Bahru Mall mulai jam 9 pagi untuk Karnival Jom Heboh Babas. Jom, jom, jom!
Tak payah. Keluarlah.
Kau sabar boleh tak?
Wanita berusia 23 tahun turut ditemui separuh bogel dengan kedua-dua tangan dan kakinya terikat.
Saya dah tengok dengan keadaan dia dah terikat semua tu, macam dah tak ada lah.
Beliau telah menyumbat kain dalam mulut bangsa untuk mendiamkan beliau.
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Thursday.
Ada orang tengok ikan macam ikan arwana hanya seekor ikan saja. Tapi pada kita yang minat, kita nampak lain.
Kebanyakan dayung ni untuk nampak cantik je. Bila dayung tu terkepit, renangan dia tu tak smooth. Bila dayung tu turun ke bawah, dia nampak macam gas sikit.
Setiap orang apabila masuk dalam tandas, flush, semua orang kena faham dan tahu benda ni mesti akan mengalir ke satu tempat. Tempat tu perlu diuruskan.
Walaupun kerja kita ni 3D, tapi kalau tak ada orang yang nak buat, siapa lagi yang nak buat kalau bukan kita?
We're back with sports football, the Super League. Sabah FC continued their fine form, thrashing Kedah Darul Aman FC 5-2 at home on Tuesday, making it 3 consecutive wins for the Rhinos. The Rhinos wasted no time, taking the lead just 2 minutes into the game when Sadil Ramdani converted from the spot. Stunned, the visitors fought back and equalised just before the interval through Clinton. The hosts increased the pressure after the break and regained the lead in the 48th minute through João Pedro Buera Duarte, but Kedah once again drew level 15 minutes later with goal from Milos Gordic. The Rhinos responded quickly and were back in front when João Pedro slotted home 5 minutes later, before goals by Kumaran Satasivam and Gary Stephen Robat sealed the 5-2 rout for Sabah. The win keeps Dato' Ong Kim Sui's men in third place with 23 points, 11 behind leaders JDT. The 2024 Ballon d'Or now. Spain and Manchester City midfielder Rodri won the men's award for the best player in the world on Monday, beating Brazil's Vinicius Junior and England's Jude Bellingham, both of Real Madrid, to the prestigious prize. Rodri, a first-time winner of the award, was instrumental in helping his team win an unprecedented 4th successive Premier League trophy last season. He was also named Best Player at this year's European Championship after Spain lifted a record-extending 4th title. The 28-year-old Madrid native is the first defensive midfielder to win the Ballon d'Or since Lothar Matthäus in 1990.
In the women's Ballon d'Or, Aitana Bonmati won the award for the second consecutive year after leading Barcelona to a historic continental quadruple of titles and claiming the Nations League with her country. Meanwhile, Real Madrid decided to boycott the ceremony in anticipation of Vinicius not winning the men's award, as no one from the club was present when they won the Men's Club of the Year award, and their manager, Carlo Ancelotti, was named Men's Coach of the Year.
On to tennis, the 2024 Paris Masters. Stefanos Tsitsipas came from behind to beat Spanish lucky loser Roberto Cabellas Baena and advanced to the second round on Monday.
Despite dropping the first set 4-6, the 10th seed Greek clawed his way back in the next two, winning 6-3, 6-3. Awaiting him in the next round will be Alejandro Tabilo. In another match, Kazakhstan's Alexander Bublik defeated Italy's Fabio Fognini in straight sets 7-5, 7-5 in 1 hour and 29 minutes. Up next, Bublik will face the winner of Matteo Arnaldi against Holger Rud. Joining them was Nicolas Jarry. The world number 37 sealed his biggest win over a top 100 player since Rome, beating Lorenzo Sonego in straight sets 7-6, 6-3. The win earned him a place in the next round, where he will face world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz Garcia.
Coming up after the break, nearly 100 Palestinians killed in Zionist strike.
Saya berjanji akan menolong orang pada setiap masa menurut undang-undang pengakap.
Jangan sekali-kali memperkecilkan kebolehan budak pengakap tau.
Tak boleh harap pengakaplah konon.
Pantang pendekar, janji dia mungkin.
Saya tak pernah ada kawan yang cantik macam cik.
Pergilah balik kat dunia awak sendiri. Saya dah tak kacau awak dah.
Reza, GTR.
Ada orang tengok ikan macam ikan arwana hanya seekor ikan saja. Tapi pada kita yang minat, kita nampak lain.
Kebanyakan dayung ni untuk nampak cantik je. Bila dayung tu terkepit, renangan dia tu tak smooth. Bila dayung tu turun ke bawah, dia nampak macam gah sikit.
Setiap orang apabila masuk dalam tandas, flush, semua orang kena faham dan tahu benda ni mesti akan mengalir ke satu tempat. Tempat tu perlu diuruskan.
Walaupun kerja kita ni 3D, tapi kalau tak ada orang yang nak buat, siapa lagi yang nak buat kalau bukan kita?
Apa yang diorang misal ni lah? MHI pukul 10? Apa yang pukul 10?
Dah pukul 9 Nas, kita dah lambat.
Yelah, lagi setengah jam kita bersiaran. Mana sekarang?
Tenang, kita kan sekarang dah bersiaran pukul 10 pagi.
Ya ke?
Ni, dah 9.30 lah. Cepat sikit, kita lambat dah.
Awak gimana? Kita kan dah start bersiaran pukul 10.
Pukul 10?
Ya betul, mulai 1 November, MHI akan mula bersiaran pada jam 10 hingga jam 11 pagi.
Jangan lupa terus bersama kami dengan pelbagai perkongsian menarik di TV3.
Dan stream melalui tonton.
News from the foreign front now. Nearly 100 Palestinians were killed and dozens others wounded in a Zionist strike on a residential building in the northern Gaza town of Beit Lahia on Tuesday. The director of the government media office put the number of fatalities at 93, as the health ministry said 150 people were wounded, while 17 other people were missing and could be counted as dead. Many of those killed in the strike were women and children. According to the Palestinian Civil Emergency Service, many victims were believed to still be trapped under the rubble. There was also no immediate Israeli comment. The latest strike came as Israel's parliament banned the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, from operating in Israel and occupied East Jerusalem despite objections from the international community.
Israeli lawmakers on Monday passed the bill with 92 votes in favor and 10 against, banning the agency from operating and cut all ties between the agency and the government. According to experts, the ban on the UN agency, which has provided essential aid and assistance across Palestinian territories and to Palestinian refugees elsewhere for more than 7 decades, would be a blow to humanitarian work in Gaza if implemented. UNRWA chief Filipe Lazzarini called the move unprecedented and said the bills will only deepen the suffering Palestinians, especially in Gaza, where people have been going through more than a year of sheer hell. The Palestinian presidency rejected and condemned the Israeli legislation. Spokesmen for the presidency said they would not allow this and that the overwhelming vote of the bills reflects Israel's transformation into a fascist state. The United States said it was deeply concerned about the bill, reiterating the critical role the agency plays in distributing humanitarian aid in the Gaza Strip. While British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said London was gravely concerned as the legislation would make UNRWA's essential work for Palestinians impossible, jeopardizing the entire international humanitarian response in Gaza and delivery of essential health and education services in the West Bank.
Meanwhile, an intense wave of Zionist bombardment has killed at least 60 people and wounded dozens in eastern Lebanon. 2 children were among those killed in strikes which targeted 16 areas in the Baalbek region. The deadliest strike occurred in Sal Alaq, where at least 16 people died. Officials also said at least 58 people were wounded, adding that rescue efforts were still underway in the valley. The Baalbek governor called the attacks the most violent in the area since the Zionist regime escalated the conflict against Hezbollah last month. As Donald Trump and Kamala Harris entered the final stretch of one of the closest U.S. presidential elections in modern times, each candidate and their teams have ramped up the political rhetoric, bringing an already simmering campaign to a boil.
Democrat Harris was crisscrossing Michigan on Monday, while Republican Trump headed to Georgia, another of the decisive swing states, where he said critics are accusing him of being a modern-day Hitler. However, Trump told supporters in Atlanta that he is not a Nazi, using a rally in the final week of a bitter White House race to push back on accusations of authoritarianism, including from a former chief of staff who branded him a fascist. Trump told a boisterous rally, the newest line from Kamala and her campaign is that everyone who isn't voting for her is a Nazi. The comments come a day after Trump held a mega rally in New York's famed Madison Square Garden that was widely condemned for racist remarks that his allies made during the event. Tensions are soaring in a race that polls suggest is too close to call, fueled by fears that former President Trump could again refuse to recognize a defeat, as in 2020, and by his harsh rhetoric threatening migrants and political opponents.
Indian police detained temple president and secretary on Tuesday after a temple fireworks show erupted into a ferocious explosion, leaving almost 100 people in hospital and 8 in critical condition. A Hindu temple at Nileshwaram, Kerala burst into explosion on Monday evening local time when sparks from a fireworks display ignited crackers in a storage shed, as hundreds were crowded to watch a fireworks festival that was not authorized by the government. According to authorities, at least 154 have been reported injured and around 8 people were deemed critical. India's upcoming Diwali celebrations highlight concerns over safety lapses and poor crowd management, and it reflects a troubling history of deadly incidents at religious gatherings. As Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look as London hosted a giant interactive multiplayer Tetris game to celebrate the iconic game's 40th anniversary. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for tuning in and have a great week ahead.